Okay, Steve and I are joined today by a very special guest from Japan. We have Yuri Nakajima with us today, and she is going to tell us a little bit about her journey with her ostomy living in Japan. So I'm going to introduce Yuri and go ahead and take it away for us with your journey on how things have gone for you living with an ostomy there in Japan.
Sure. This is Yuri. It's from Tokyo, Japan, and it's been 9 years, 10 years since I had the stoma. Um, I was diagnosed with bowel endometriosis in 2015 and had surgery in July 2016. And the doctor told me that it'll be a 50-50 chance on whether I would have stoma or not. And the surgery went on 12 hours or so. And then I woke up to find temporary stoma on my tummy. And I had a reversal surgery at the end of 2016, and then the rectovaginal fistula was found. So I had another surgery 3 weeks after or so, and I got myself temporary stoma again. So I have a temporary stoma, and it's been 9 years. And yeah, the doctor told me, well, offered me, a couple of surgical procedure to reverse the stoma and patch up the fistula. But I wasn't really convinced that the plan would make my life better. So that's me with my stoma. And well, in Japan, stoma is called an artificial anus. And we, yes, believe it or not, yes, we do use the term stoma in Japanese as well, but since nobody outside our community knows what stoma is, I would have to keep saying artificial anus pretty much every time. And, that the idea that I have an anus on my tummy just hurts. And I also struggled a lot to, accept my new body with stoma, especially because I was a newlywed back then, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. And I wasn't told that there were non-transparent stoma bags available back in the hospital. And I was devastated in having to expose my very visual stoma bags to my husband. But I did research, of course, and found, non-transparent bags. And, I know things are available, but I wish I knew those things, sooner. And things like that happens in Japan. For example, we cannot get our hands on the black bags that I see a lot on social media. It doesn't have ones in Japan. So I have struggles here, but thanks to the, technology and all the help I could get, I have been, living better and better.
So it's really been on you to kind of seek out that information on different options for supplies
Oh
and your
yeah.
ostomy care. So it's all been
Mhm.
on you. You haven't had a medical professional that's helped you or a support group that's helped you with that.
Well, of course, we have a lot of support groups, and I go to ostomy nurses every now and then and ask for information. But we have supplies or equipment available in Japan, or I, you know, get information online that I know that exists, but I cannot, get it in Japan. So there's always a struggle between what I see online and what we have in here. So it's a little bit stressful, but yeah, that's life.
That is life. So do you go to an ostomy support group?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Um,
And what
Yeah, we have a couple of ostomy support groups, and the biggest one is called the Japan Ostomy Association, and I am a member of that association. And they have, occasional hangouts or lectures or support meetings, and I love going there. But since most of them are elderly person. it's a little tricky for me to find my friends with stoma around my age. So I go to those meetings, but also I find my friends online as well. So online plays a huge role on my, ostomy life.
So that's pretty much a universal uh,
Oh,
situation
is
because
it?
that's
Yes.
in the States is basically very much the same thing. And as
Hmm.
being support group leaders, that's one of the things that we're always dealing with is trying to get, younger members or younger people to be involved. But then
Right.
that's why UOAA has a leader of, our younger folks
Hmm.
that they had, like at the conference, they had their own little sessions of their own and that kind of thing. So
Nice.
anyway, since this is World Ostomy Day, this is kind of a world thing then that the younger
Yes.
folks there's more internet and whereas the older folks like meeting in person and stuff. So
Yeah, seems that way, but I love meeting people in person, So it doesn't really it shouldn't really matter, the age, but I there has to be a lot of people who, love communicating with each other offline. Of course, we are, taking advantage of the, technology, but I keep looking for new people. So when I subscribe to a lot of, services that, offer information or offer meetings. And I go every single one I find and find, one person in one group and another person in another group. So it's a constant, like a video game. You go adventure and find one person with a similar body, and then the journey goes on and on.
You're so motivated, Yuri, and such a good advocate for yourself. I'm sure it could have been so easy just to stay isolated, but it seems like that you're so, yeah, you want to get the information and get connected with people, and you've been connected with UOAA through our Ostomy Academy programs, and
Mhm.
I commend you for that. It
Thank
helps to
you.
not feel alone, right? You said.
Yeah, but it took a while, after a half a year post-op, after the operation, I got a dark hours, dark months, and I couldn't really, I lost the confidence and I didn't know what to do, and my techniques weren't really ready to get out of my house and do, have a cup of coffee or anything. So first couple of months, well, I would say first half a year was a days of struggle, and I had to kind of, stay inside and, playing jigsaw puzzle or something and playing video game or something. And I just have to process what happened to me. And um, it took a while to get used to the idea of, the change of my body and everything around it. And, having to take a long time to change my bags or being scared of leaking and everything. So I took a really, really small steps to, feel less uncomfortable about my body and trying to get out there. But probably everybody has its own kind of pace to feel okay about this body and wanting to have some kind of conversation with the similar bodied people and have more confidence about who you are and how you operate or navigate your life. So it's still, going up and downs. And I, sometimes, curl up in the ball and, kind of like a lay on the floor. But it's a slow process and things are getting, yeah, better if you have courage to kind of take that very first little step that will open up the kind of like a, um, less worse day.
Mhm. Very wise. Yeah, courage to take the first little step. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. Steve, any feedback to Yuri about her journey and just that pace of, it takes time and to keep going with that.
Well, the thought that came to my mind is, and Amy Lee has heard me say this, and many other people have heard me say this before. I find the ostomy community that they're always willing to help somebody. And so, I mean, once you find that group, everybody's willing to go out and go the extra mile to try to help somebody. I'm curious, you obviously said that 6 months of kind of being by yourself, but now that you've reached out and you've kind of got some folks, do you find that to be the case, or is everybody are they still a little standoffish?
Um, well, let's see. Well, can you repeat that question again? I don't think I caught it like a
That's
perfectly.
fine. So what
Sorry.
I was saying is that most of the people I've run into in my 28 years that have an
Mhm.
ostomy are
Mhm.
more than willing to try to
Oh yeah.
help you down that path. My
Mhm.
question is, since you had 6 months of kind of by yourself, have you found those people now that are being able to help you, or is it still people are very, very closed about that?
Oh, I found so many people that are fun and supportive and inspirational. I mean, it and the funny thing is, since we have a stoma as a common topic to talk about, the age doesn't really matter sometimes. We, get along so well with the, lady in her 90s, and we just have such a fun time talking. So, well, sometimes it's nice to have a similar, aged groups to talk about, marriage or kids or other issues. But it opens up a new way to, talk with somebody I have never thought I would have fun talking with. So those people are very, um, eye-openingly young. I mean, I was just talking with the lady in her 80s, and she hits the gym 10 times a month, so every 3 days or so. And then it it's just, surprising. It had so many things to learn from a lot of people, and everybody's willing to help, and everybody's just, willing to be there with you. So I have
Mhm.
a lot of nice support system going on, online and offline both.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
So, Yuri, what would be some advice that you would give somebody that maybe is new, that's just starting off with their ostomy journey, or maybe they're kind of in that dark place where they're feeling really discouraged? Would you have any advice for them?
Um, well, I would like to, warmly welcome them to the club. And I think, you know, everybody needs some alone time to process what happened to them. But if they feel isolated, it's probably, the time to find someone else with the same body. And, it's you could look around and probably, start from the internet and, finding ostomy role models or find support groups on your website. Or in my case, I started writing about my, emotions. And, I was studying music, so expressing myself helped. So I believe the power of expressing myself and the power of healing by expressing yourself, writing or talking. And, you know, writing was my first probably outlet of my emotions. It wasn't even a blog, just, with pen and
You.
paper. I was
Hmm.
just yet releasing all my emotions. And I, you know, it's by letting your emotions go, it gets more sorted what's happening, and you have more time to reflect, and you might need, some kind of therapy, which is very important for me because in Japan we don't have therapy at all. There are, psychiatrists that prescribe, antidepressants, but we don't have therapy in our, country, and not in, look, in our probably, culture. So Sometimes you might want to. I love going to therapy and it helped me so much. So I advocate, the importance of the mental care and the self-awareness as well. But if you are getting more comfortable with writing or talking about yourselves, you might be able to find the way to, reach out and find somebody you could relate to, with a stoma or reach to, your organization and find the real people, not the
Yes.
generative AI that you
Yeah.
could talk to and relate to. Because a lot of people use, ChatGPT to, you know, ask personal advice in Japan. So people are using, those tools, but I love human communications. I love, something unexpected or something uncertain. So slowly taking time, I would recommend to, express yourself. And if you feel like it, reach out a little bit so that you could see more people with similar, experiences, and that will opens up your journey.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, the doctors are really good at stitching us back together and
Hmm.
saving our lives. I mean, Steve, your ostomy saved your life. My ostomy saved my life.
Mine
But then
too.
there's all, yes, and but then there's all the healing that goes on emotionally
Mhm.
and mentally afterwards with the life, with your adjusting to life with an ostomy. So I think it's very wise to that you said to, to seek help and to start that process by writing and therapy is good, but then we keep going back to this connection, this human connection that is so powerful
It
with
is.
the healing.
Yes.
Any other insights into some like Japanese culture that has been different for you, navigating an ostomy? Anything with your community there in Japan that's been either a positive or a negative about adjusting to ostomy?
Adjusting to ostomy. Well, for a lot of people, it's just simply very difficult to talk about ostomy because it's, related to something you would do in the restroom. And I work as a translator and then I love language. So I found a way to get around with being, able to talk about ostomy without embarrassing myself too much. But, the topic could go awkward. And a lot of
Mhm.
people are not willing to just talk about, the ostomy at all. So it's been, um, it's been a struggle to, advocate what ostomy is or what, how my body works differently from other people. Um, but I was wishing people could um, talk more openly about their issues. I mean, well, I have ostomy, but there are a lot of people struggling, mentally or physically or in other ways. And, by talking about ostomy, I was wishing I could, open up to the world with more kinder people. You know, when you everybody has struggles and then everybody has issues. And if we could talk about our own issues, probably we would be more, kind to the other and help with each other and then reach out to the people who need help. So in Japan, it's a little tricky to talk openly about, not only about ostomy, but about, everything personal. Look up, especially medical issues or something really hard to talk about. But by, opening yourself up to other people or to the society, we probably will be able to find a solution or some other way to make it work in a better way. So in the culture where you're not really supposed to be really opening up or to be honest, it's I'm inviting I feel like I'm inviting everybody to talk about your self, your issue, not only your issues, yourself, so that you can be yourself in the community or in the society. And that's something I can, do to contribute to the world. So it's Asian people don't talk like us, like me. But yeah, I'm trying to poke them around to, speak up and
You're
out.
you're leading by example. So your vulnerability, you hope, will be an example to others to share what they're going through. Because you're right, we all have things that we're battling, and if it's not ostomy, then it's something else. So
Mm-hmm.
true.
Mm-hmm.
So Yuri, you said something that I think is extremely important
Mm-hmm.
because one of the people, some of the groups of people that we try to reach out to is that new ostomate, kind of what you said, 6 months of being by yourself and that. But you have the option of having reconnection, and for
Mm-hmm.
9 years, you've decided having a stoma isn't all so bad. I mean, mine's permanent. I did not have that option from day one. Well, I did, but only for about a few months, and then I had surgery number two. But
Oh,
anyway, my point is that so many people when they first get their ostomy, I hate this thing. I don't want this. I know how am I going to live with this? But here
mhm.
you've had the option of getting it reversed for almost 9 years, and
Yeah.
you have made peace with it and live your life to the fullest with it. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that I see often is support groups when people are very much on the beginning. Oh, I hate this. I don't want this. How am I going to live with this? It's going to smell. What kind of clothes? I mean, all those things the thousands of questions that go through people's mind. But you have been able to say, nope, living with an ostomy is not so bad. And
Yeah.
in a challenging situation to a certain degree with, having to find your own support and that kind of thing. So I am take my hat off to you because I just think that's one of the things we're trying to do with Ostomy Academy and with UOA as a whole is that living with an ostomy is not the end of the world. Our lives are not over. Uh, our logo being the lifesaver. It's they're lifesavers that help us move on down the road. So 29 years. I'm a walking example of that. And so I think that's great. And that's one of the things that we're trying to express to people. And to have somebody as young and beautiful as you are to be able to say that, I think is tremendous. So
Thank you. But it's really, really, it everybody wants to, well, I believe that everybody has the, some sort of power to heal by themselves. So if um even if they hate stoma, or even if they don't want to, have stoma, and they want to, just hate it, it's even if you are saying so, there is a some sort of way to kind of get used to it, or I don't know how, but that's like your, body. Stoma is you, but that's your body too. So you will have to, live with this, and then you will find the way to kind of, yeah, as you said, make peace with, stoma. And however the way the relationship would be, you can talk to one of my friends, talk to her stoma, and she seems like to have a really, fun relationship with them. So it doesn't have to be, one way, being happy or being like excited or anything, but you will be able to find some way to, get along okay with your body. And, with or without stoma, we struggle to get, used to my body, you're living in. So it's not only about stoma, but, just get comfortable with yourself and get along with your body, however you are. And that's not only us. And then I think we are, more experienced with dealing with, the body. So we might be able to, give some insights to the other people without ostomy, that how you take care of yourself, how you, accept your body the way you are. and, be comfortable with that and have fun with this. So we have a lot we can, teach or learn and communicate and, inspire.
So you said you have a friend that talks to their stoma.
Oh, yeah.
So indulge me for just a moment because I gave a talk up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin once, and one of the things we got talking about was naming your stoma, what people
Oh,
call their stoma. And I
hmm.
had a gentleman raise his hand and said, "Well, I call mine Bob." And I said,
Oh,
"Bob, why do you call him Bob?" He goes, "Because that's my brother-in-law's name, and he's a real asshole."
that is very, creative way to get along with their body. But that's a way, comedy works. And I love stand-up comedy and I enjoy laughing and not make fun of it, but making it into the comedy have a positive healing power. So if you want to name, your stoma, your brother-in-law's name it. Just
Well, so
offer.
obviously it shows the point that he's moved down the road. I mean, talking about again that 6 month period, he's obviously down the road where he's accepted it, and by
Yes.
calling it by his name Bob, that's a way that he deals with it and that kind of thing.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes. So however it goes, that's their way, and that's fun to talk about. So, it's one of the nice thing about, going to the, group meetings because you would, never hear about, somebody named his brother-in-law a stoma. So that's something, that only happens in, really close offline conversation. Probably online too, but, offline groups have really special, dynamics. And some really surprisingly, you know, pleasant thing happens. And I love those happenings too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So my aunt was just traveling in Japan, Yuri, and she sent me a picture of the bathrooms that you have with for
Yes.
ostomy. Tell
Hmm,
tell
we
us
do.
about tell us about those. I was blown away when I saw that.
Thank you. Well, those are called ostomy toilets, ostomate toilets in Japan.
Okay.
And it's actually invented by the Japan Ostomy Association. Um, yes, thank you very much. So it's a tiny sink with a flush button and a toilet paper and the mirror, just in case you have to change the bag. So you don't have to you can keep standing up and then drain your contents of your stoma without hurting your knees or, on the back. And it's at the concert halls, it's at the airports, and it's at the shopping malls. So you could see it at a lot of public spaces. And it's different from, the bathroom for, wheelchair users. So
Mhm.
that's, our special compartment to do our things.
Cool. So cool.
Yeah, so Japan is really good at, creating those facilities or creating rules. We have the special mark called Ostomate mark that, so at the ostomy toilets, we have that specific icon that indicates that, that's the facility for us ostomates. The sad thing is not a lot of people knows what that means. So we have to keep talking about what they are, but they have seen ostomate mark and they have seen ostomy toilets. So we are really good with, creating those environments, but it, there is a little struggle with people's hearts to be, very more, generous about other, you know, disabilities or diversities or differences. So we have our good things going and we have other things it needs a little bit of work, but ostomy toilets
Yes.
are great. Yep. I hope
Yeah.
it's everybody. Like, I hope it's everywhere in the world.
Yeah, no, we don't have them here in the United States. I've only ever seen them, yeah, like the picture from Japan. Steve, have you seen the ostomy toilets?
I know of one, and that's
Oh,
because
Oh,
it's a nurse that I have met that lives right here in Bloomington, Illinois, that she put one in her house. And so that's
nice.
the only one that I know about. She actually showed me a picture of it and said if I had ever seen it, and I hadn't. But she had a plumber come in and they remodeled their kitchen, or excuse me, their bathroom. That's what they put in, for her. Uh, so I want
Nice.
to ask a question on just a very run of the mill thing, but we all use ostomy supplies. So
Hmm.
how available are supplies? How do you get your supplies? And do you have a chance to be able to try different types of supplies?
Well, my first experience with the supply store was a bit awkward. I was, I was in the bed at the hospital, and there was a guy in suit who brought up the business card with the supply kit. And that was the guy from the supply store. And the nurse must have been, telling me about this beforehand, but I don't remember. I was too sick to remember that. So I got the business card of the supply store that I can order my stoma supply. So I got one store, but I didn't know there are other stores. And we have a lot of earthquakes, so we need to get ready for something that hits, and we might need some kind of ostomy supply from not out from outside my area. If the earthquake hits Tokyo, it's we need I need somebody to, deliver that to my shelter, or, wherever I'm sheltering at. So I look at having more options would be really appreciated. But, now I know there are so many nice, supply stores available throughout Japan, but not a lot of people even know that there are other stoma supply stores you can use, and you can even switch to one supply store to another. And um personally, well, I have a couple of supply store, and I use a lot of manufacturers, a lot of types of stoma bags, just in case, it's a disaster preparation for me too. But, when the earthquake hits, you never know what kind of stoma supply you will get, from somewhere. I don't know where it's going to come from, but so I am just making sure whatever makes or whatever types I will get, I can be able to, feel comfortable with the stoma supply I would have. So look, I pretty much use all manufacturers' ostomy bags. So I not a lot of people do that, but I enjoy, switching back and forth, and, enjoy the difference. And some are flat, some are convex, and some, all these things are a fun thing. It's like, talking about your microphones, among singers, which microphone is like a better or like a nicely sounding, or all these things. And, those stoma supply talk is a big hit in those meetings. And then it's always, somebody is creating some kind of weird routine, and it's so fun to hear about them. So I love switching, and I love trying to use, one thing and other things, and depending on, how it feels like. And I love trying new things out.
Is it pretty affordable? Are the supplies affordable
Um,
for people or is it expensive?
it is expensive, but we have a kind of like a governmental support. So we have a everybody has a health insurance, and if you have the health insurance, well, which is everybody, you will get certain amount of the money monthly to purchase those supplies, ostomy supplies. So we could it's pretty expensive, but with that money it
Hmm.
makes it for my case it doesn't cover fully, but it still helps immensely to get the supply I would like to, and it's been really helpful. So um
That's that's good. Yeah, because
yeah.
you're right. People like to try different supplies, and
Yes.
every body is different. So something that may work for me might not work for Steve or work for you, Yuri. So it's good to be able to experiment with different supplies, and that's wonderful that the government gives you a sort of a stipend per month
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
go for that those
Yes.
supplies that you can, and then you might have to pay a little extra
Right.
to get that
How
coverage.
does it work in the United States? Do you have to pay the full price for ostomy supply?
Yes and no. There's an answer
Yeah.
for you.
Okay, that's
So those of us that are on Medicare,
hmm
Medicare will gives you an
Oh,
allotment to a certain degree, and then but they don't cover everything. So then you have to have what we call supplemental insurance to be able to do that. If you're
mm,
working for an employer and you're still working, like when I was working, then my life or health insurance from my employer helped cover that and that kind of thing. So, but there are many people who do not have insurance. And
hmm
so again, as a support group leader, and that's one of the things we're constantly getting phone calls from people who that don't have insurance about
right.
how to get your supplies.
hmm
So it's really an issue to a sort of, that's why I said yes or no, because to a certain some for a great majority of people, it's kind of taken care of by insurance. And yes, you have to supplement some, but then there's a big portion of of the Ostomy family that don't have insurance, and so they have challenges. And that's well, sometimes they'll end up getting it from Amazon, which I don't really recommend. But yet, but support groups, and then I don't know if you're familiar with Friends of Ostomy Worldwide. It's the organization that ships appliances around the country.
Oh,
There's a chance to be able to get stuff there as well. So there are some organizations in the United States that indeed will provide ostomy appliances at a very limited cost.
right.
But they're donated by people who had ostomies that passed, or maybe they've switched to another supplier, or whatever the case may be. So, but it can be for certain people a real issue, and that's
hmm
where again UOA comes involved about trying to help guide people to where they might be able to get those.
Yeah, that's a crucial information to have. And it's like, the more resources, the better they would be, able to reach out to the help they would need. I see.
Exactly. Yeah, and sometimes Yuri, like I know here in Denver, Denver, of course, is a big city, and we get people that call our local ostomy support group in search of supplies, and we have a donation closet here that we can then, get them by. But a lot of times, people don't know, like you didn't know that you could have something other than a transparent bag.
Yeah,
So people don't know that. So that's a good way to come to a support group and see the different products and say, oh my gosh, I can get an opaque bag, or I can get a black bag, or I need a convex bag. So it's a good way to kind of resource that. But some people
definitely.
end up going to the emergency room, because they need products, and that of course is very expensive and time consuming. And so we're
Oh,
trying, UOAA is trying to of course fight this, and get awareness out there. And that's one of the reasons why we're celebrating Ostomy Awareness Day, every
hmm
year,
hmm
because the more that we can talk about these things, and the ways that we can be supported as ostomates, the better the future will be for our community. So
Yes.
yeah, so excuse me, so World Ostomy Day, so the International Ostomy Association has declared World Ostomy Day every 3 years. So this year we have it coming up on October 4th, which the tagline is Invisible Disabilities, Visible Support, the Global Unity of Ostomates. So the purpose is to bring light to uncover the invisible ostomy and create visible support, fostering conversation, global awareness, and ensuring equity for our communities, both locally and globally. It's a mouthful, but it's so important, and that's one of the reasons why we're talking with you today. So, kind of in closing, I'd love to hear your thoughts on why do you think it's important to bring awareness, to having a community, both locally there in Japan and globally.
hmm For me, talking about me and my stoma is an invitation for everybody to a kinder world. I'm not really asking to favor us. I would just like to take me as an example among so many other struggles. And, struggles can be physical, mental, or something else, but we all have struggles, and I want the world to be able to openly talk about those issues so that everyone can reach out to someone who needs help without judgments. And by talking about hidden disabilities, it will let everybody in the world know that we exist and we struggle sometimes, but we are okay. And so should you. And so does everybody, so should everybody else. So even if whether it's visible or invisible, by talking about it, could change the world. So it's really important to have the, World Ostomy Day and Ostomy Awareness Day and all the, you know, events that help us to talk more about themselves.
Thank you. Thank you
Well
so
said.
much for,
Very well said.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us. You're
Thank you
just
so
a
much for
light.
having
It's
me.
it's wonderful to know that such a beautiful light person is on the other side of the world from us.
In the
It's
Far East,
wonderful.
yes.
That's right. That's right.
So when I see your name come up on our Ostomy Academy, I see Yuri. I now am going to know who you are and going to
Yes,
be
this is,
very
yeah.
thrilled that you're joining us. So
Mm-hmm,
so
Right.
mm-hmm.
so I know this is going to put you on the spot, but have you found information valuable that we've done with the Ostomy Academies that we've done in the past?
Oh, definitely. Yes. And those topics you would choose are something we Japanese never talk about. So I really appreciate you going to the sometimes touchy topics, sometimes difficult topics, intimacy. And I really appreciate that decipher what's going on around and, share the information to the world. I would love to translate all these things into Japanese, actually.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
Well, you could. They're available on ostomy.org. They're
Oh,
videos, and
great.
you can translate those if you want. So they're available.
That would
Nice. I got
that would
something
be
I could do.
that would be so cool.
I'm onto
Thank
it.
you. Well, speaking of Ostomy Academy, our next broadcast is going to be October the 3rd at noon Eastern Time. And we're going to have a special edition for World Ostomy Day. So the title of this Ostomy Academy is Cultural Influences Celebrating World Ostomy Day 2025. And there's going to be that event and then also lots of other events across the country and the world. And you can check those out at our website, which is ostomy.org, and you can select the tab events and scroll down to World Ostomy Day. And then also the Ostomy Academy is there if you want to register and join us on the 3rd. So with that, I want to say thank you again to Yuri and my co-host Steve, and we'll sign off for now.
Thank you very much. Come
Oh,
to
thank
Japan
you.
sometimes.
Yes.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Yes, we'll see you soon.